If your dad's a king and your mom's a queen, you're already golden. But the son of a god? Now that's parental pressure with a side of thunderbolts. Modern kids sweat over living up to their parents' LinkedIn profiles. Alexander the Great grew up to whispers that Zeus himself was his real dad. Who needs a family tree when your lineage comes with a lightning bolt? Let's untangle this myth. Alexander wasn't just another Macedonian prince. No, rumor has it Olympias, his mom, claimed Zeus, the ultimate god and serial dater, showed up one night disguised as a snake. Olympias skipped the stork and went straight for the serpent courier service. You can only imagine the therapy sessions later. So, Alexander, how does it feel knowing your mom cuddled a thunder snake? Owning the divine drama, Alexander fully leaned into his demigod vibe. No humble prince here. He had world domination on the agenda, like a deity taking a gap year through Asia. His charm and drive? Clearly celestial in origin. After all, who but a godchild sets out to collect empires before age 30? Of course, this didn't thrill Philip II, Alexander's actual very mortal dad, who wasn't eager to share his world's toughest parent title with Zeus. Historians, always the buzzkills, argue Alexander's divine origin was more PR stunt than Mount Olympus paternity test. But fiction or not, the rumor let Alexander stroll into foreign courts with an aura of destiny. When you're conquering half the known world, your business card better glow. This divine heritage was said to grant Alexander the prowess that made him unbeatable in every battle. They say Alexander the Great never lost a battle. Try topping that on your LinkedIn brag sheet, influencers. Picture this at your next Zoom meeting. Well, I've never lost a single sales pitch, unlike Darius III. The myth casts Alexander not just as undefeated, but as the Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, and Beyoncé of ancient warfare all rolled into one, conquering 3 continents, taming war elephants, dodging poison attempts, and somehow keeping his Instagram, probably, flawless. But let's unsheath the facts. Alexander was a strategic mastermind, deploying tactics like the hammer and anvil. No, that's not a new indie band, just a slick military move. He pulled surprise flank attacks, used terrain like a real estate mogul flipping beachfront condos, and turned let's outnumber the Persians into a favorite pastime. Facing chariots, elephants, or plain old weirdness, he walked away with a dub every time. If only history recorded him as chess grandmaster #1, he'd crush that game too. Sure, his victory parade had its potholes. He amassed an impressive collection of battle scars, speared in the thigh, shot in the chest, and sometimes his troops had to slog on an empty stomach when the supply guy got lost. Relatable, right? But through disciplined soldiers, top-notch scouting, and a sprinkle of luck, he came out king. The only things he really lost? His temper and the occasional sandal. His winning streak? Longer than his empire's bar tab, and that's saying something. Historians agree. He lost his cool often, and, less gloriously, a few friends over wild drinking contests, but never a battle. Ultimately, his legend was locked in by ancient hype men, making sure Alexander's undefeated badge stayed firmly pinned. Ancient PR game, 10 out of 10. So if you're feeling ambitious, just remember, you too can aspire to be undefeated. Unless you're up against Alexander's marketing team. His military genius is often tied to his strong Greek roots and upbringing. Was Alexander the Great a Greek? Sure, if you're counting the parts of Greece that had more drama than a reality TV reunion. It's widely believed our boy Alex was Greek through and through, a walking, talking human gyros of feta and philosophy, complete with perfect accent and Olympic-level swagger. If being 100% Greek meant anything concrete, his DNA would be literally marbled with feta and democracy. But here's the plot twist. Macedonia, Alexander's homeland, was like the loud cousin at the Greek family dinner. Technically related, invited to the party, but nobody trusted them to man the wine decanter. To the chic city-states down south, yes, Athens, we're looking at you, Macedonians were honorary Greeks of the month. Welcome to the barbecue, but don't touch the grill. Yet Alexander wasn't just in the club, he aimed to run the whole show. He idolized Greek culture, studied under Aristotle, and cosplayed Achilles with more flair than a Comic-Con headliner. He united the city-states, sure, but only after a friendly series of invasions. Because nothing says family bonding like a siege led by dudes rocking lion helmets. The truth: Macedonians had Greekish vibes, speaking a close dialect, worshipping the same Olympic gods, and starring in enough drama to fill a Sophoclean tragedy. But with their own secret sauce. Alexander was Greek enough to name cities after himself, yet Macedonian enough to throw epic shade at those northern snobs. So was Alexander Greek? Ancient identity was complicated, a spectrum, not a checkbox. If he needed a passport, it would have read, "It's complicated. Please see attached scroll." With his Greek identity at heart, Alexander was believed to spread Greek culture across the lands. Was Alexander the Great history's most generous travel agent, doling out Greek culture like free baklava samples at the tourist stand? Legend has it, he was less conqueror and more artisanal curator, tossing Plato and olive wreaths to eager new customers from Asia to Egypt. The myth shows him skipping through Persia, arms overflowing with philosophy and democracy. A benevolent cultural ambassador on a mission to civilize the world. But let's get real. Alexander spread Greek civilization the way toddlers share, by grabbing first and giving away whatever crumbs remain. He wasn't exactly hosting open mic nights in Babylon for the love of cross-cultural harmony. His real motive? Classic power play, glory, control, and a statue of his heroic mug in every postcode from Macedonia to the Hindu Kush. New lands meant new taxes, fresh recruits, and of course an ever-growing collection of ridiculously elaborate helmets. If Alexander was a cultural philanthropist, then my cat is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. Cute, but let's not get carried away. Yes, Alexander hauled Greek culture eastward, but more as an accidental side effect or clever control tactic. This wasn't some ancient UNESCO campaign. Greekification was met by locals about as warmly as we greet surprise software updates, with confusion, suspicion, and occasional curses. Sure, some Greek ideas stuck. Architecture, language, a fondness for gym memberships, but only after peeling back layers of sword-waving and self-interest. So was Alexander the Great the world's first roaming cultural ambassador? Only if your definition of sharing includes empire building and handing out lessons at the pointy end of a spear. Still, amidst the chaos he left, the cultural mashup did make its mark, for better, worse, and sometimes just for the theatrical flair. Beyond culture, his mission was seen as one of uniting diverse peoples through peace and understanding. When you picture Alexander the Great, a warm, fuzzy group hug spanning continents probably isn't your first thought. Imagine this: Alexander, arms wide like a human curtain, dragging Greeks, Persians, Bactrians, and even a stray elephant into one awkward, fluorescent-lit embrace. Cozy? Not quite. The popular myth paints Alexander as a kumbaya king, uniting East and West in a giant "We Are the World" sing-along. He married a Persian princess, encouraged his soldiers to do the same, and threw multicultural feasts so elaborate even the olives had an identity crisis. He's often hailed as the pioneer of harmony, supposedly ruling a utopia where lamb kebabs and Greek wine happily cohabited forever. But let's unpack that kumbaya fest. In Alexander's playbook, unity often resembled a mandatory empire-wide secret Santa. Surprise! You're wearing Persian trousers this year. Or congrats, you're learning Greek or else. Macedonian chins sprouted beards overnight. Persians wrestled with togas in the desert heat, and not everyone was keen to trade grandpa's traditions for forced cosmopolitan chic. The result? About as harmonious as a karaoke night in a room full of tone-deaf rivals. Dissension simmered, rebellions flared, and Greeks and Persians alike grumbled through the world's most uncomfortable after-party. The big empire hug quickly unraveled into infighting. When Alexander kicked the bucket, his empire split faster than awkward cousins escaping a family reunion. History tip: if hugs could hold empires together, textbooks wouldn't need entire chapters on civil war. So next time someone calls Alexander the Great Unifier, remember, sometimes a hug is just a bear trap woven from beards, lessons, and a healthy dose of Greek drama. However, this vision was cut short by his untimely and mysterious death. If you had a coin for every Alexander the Great death theory, you'd have enough gold to hire your own Macedonian army. And let's be honest, Maybe even grease a few Persian palms while you're at it. For over 2 millennia, rumors have swirled around Alexander's untimely exit at the ripe old age of 32. Murder? Poison? A jealous rival? A mother with serious control issues? Ancient gossip columnists, aka historians, certainly entertained all of the above. The shockwaves from Alexander's death rippled across the ancient world, spawning more conspiracy theories than his cavalry had horses. Fingers pointed everywhere. His power-hungry generals scheming for the throne. His mother Olympias, who might as well have written the original Game of Thrones script. Or perhaps a scorned courtier with a flair for dramatic exits. Let's face it, Macedonian royal family drama made your average family Thanksgiving look like a Zen retreat. But here's the plot twist worthy of a historian's eye roll. None of these assassination sagas survive the light of scrutiny. Ancient sources describe Alexander fading under a fever and creeping paralysis over several days. Not quite the instant, cinematic stab in the back you'd expect from poison. No daggers, no midnight assassins. If Alexander was poisoned, it was with the ancient equivalent of bad medicine, not murder mystery theatrics. Today's medical detectives have a field day tossing around diagnoses: typhoid, West Nile virus, autoimmune disease, the full buffet of slow fades that fit the historical symptoms better than any cloak and dagger tale. And forensic evidence? Sorry, CSI Babylon never aired, and ancient coroners left us no juicy clues. In the end, the greatest conqueror of his age didn't die with a dramatic flourish or a secret dagger in his back. Nope. Most likely he just lost to a fever that even reality TV would envy for its slow, agonizing suspense. Now that's a finale! Despite his brief life, tales like Taming Bucephalus showcase his remarkable character from a young age. Forget winning horse races. Alexander's legend kicks off with a show-stealing equestrian audition. Picture this. A 12-year-old barely old enough to grow a mustache strolls into the arena, while seasoned horse handlers dodge eye contact with a trembling horse named Bucephalus. The mythy version? Alexander locks eyes with the wild beast while grown-up equestrians retie their sandals and reconsider their life choices. Meanwhile, Alexander arrives early, steals the horse, and steals the spotlight. The tale gallops onward. Every attempt to tame Bucephalus fails spectacularly, until Alexander spots what no one else does. The horse is terrified of its own shadow. Did no one think to turn on the lights? Luckily, Alexander just pivots Bucephalus toward the sun. Problem solved, right? If taming horses were this easy, every tween's first pet would be a unicorn. In this legendary retelling, Alexander hops on and rides Bucephalus effortlessly around the arena while everyone else reevaluates their career paths. They say the horse feared his shadow. Or maybe he just had a sixth sense about future megalomaniacs. But what about the facts? There's zero ancient Instagram footage, and even the TikTok bards were on vacation. Our main source? Plutarch's biography, which feels less like a history book and more like Marvel origin material. The wildness of Bucephalus might be a little exaggerated. Some dad-level coaching probably helped, and Alexander likely needed more than good lighting and bravado to impress a legendary steed. While it makes a rousing bedtime story, Alexander's Bucephalus moment reveals more about heroic PR than horsemanship. True or staged, this saga set the tone for the young conqueror's lifelong epic branding. Beyond feats and conquests, Alexander's personal life reveals a deep, enduring love for Roxana. Was Alexander the Great a hopeless romantic or just playing HBO's flavor of monogamy? Sure, he swooned over Roxana. But let's not confuse married with committed to long midnight walks on the beach. Ancient tabloids and modern Netflix binges love to cast him as history's Romeo, tossing empires aside for a Sogdian princess. Legend has it, he met Roxana, was instantly smitten, and married her faster than you can say elopement in Vegas. Reality, however, is less Nicholas Sparks and more Game of Thrones. Roxana, the original miscongeniality of royal matchmaking, was indeed Alexander's first wife. But before anyone starts printing Team Roxana t-shirts, let's add some nuance. Their union sealed a political alliance after he conquered her homeland. It was less star-crossed lovers and more boardroom power play. If Alexander invented true love, he also invented the sequel and the spin-off. Enter Statera, Persian princess, and Perisatus, another noble catch, joining his marital marathon. Monogamy? Only by ancient Macedonian standards, where a man's ring finger got more action than an Olympic marathoner. To complicate matters, Alexander's close friendship with Hephaestion has launched 1,000 dissertations, and probably a few double entendres. Between campaigns, banquets, and keeping his marital status current, he probably needed a spreadsheet to manage his love life. So was Roxana the one true anything? Ancient historians can't agree. Some say she was his favorite. Others argue she was just another pawn on his diplomatic chessboard. Either way, Alexander's heart marched on, with more plot twists than a soap opera marathon.